Hey there, and welcome again to this episode of A Drink from Upstream. Today is a bit of a continuation or a follow-up from what I spoke of last Sunday. So we preached through John chapter 1, verses 6 through 8, and it's a story, a brief kind of snippet of the ministry of John the Baptist. It says that there was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to bear witness about the light, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but he came to bear witness about the light. That's what those verses say. And while they're definitely about John the Baptist, they're actually a bit of a kind of a summary or a synopsis of what God has called all who are followers of Jesus to do, to bear witness about how our lives have been changed by the grace of God that comes to us through faith in Jesus Christ. And we're called to be witnesses. And sometimes that can be a little bit scary. We get a little reluctant about it. And maybe if we tied it back to our roots, or the roots of it, the idea of being a witness, the Greek word is actually martyria. And you can have fun saying that if you'd like, martyria. And it actually is where we get our word martyr, or the notion of martyrdom. So a martyr is somebody who is murdered for their faith. And so the New Testament's writers, they use this word, the idea of being a witness for Jesus. There was so much persecution in the early church that witnessing for Jesus actually in some ways became a bit of a synonym, became synonymous for being persecuted and dying for your faith. I mean, that's a tough thing. We probably aren't facing that degree of any sort of persecution in our day, in our society, although it isn't a very popular thing to be a follower of Christ, and it's definitely not popular to try and tell others about Jesus. But this is what we're called by God to do. And let's not miss, it says that there was a man sent from God whose name was John, and he came. And the idea is that John did what he was called to do, and we need to as well. And so there may be a sense of reluctance. It may be a little bit scary for us, and we certainly don't want to be thought of as weird or pushy or narrow-minded. But here's what I want you to think about. Yes, witnessing can lead to rejection at times. Witnessing can lead to persecution at times. But witnessing can also lead to salvation for the person that's hearing the witness. And so as we give an authentic testimony as to who Jesus is in our lives and how he has been good to us and provided for us and is leading us and is comforting us and strengthening us and working his love and truth and grace in us, as we witness about that, God uses that to bring people to himself, to grow his family. And so we should be willing to put up with maybe some persecution. We should be willing to put up with maybe a little bit of rejection in the hopes that some would be saved. And that would be in keeping with the biblical testimony. So I want to give you maybe just two thoughts with regard to kind of demystifying the idea of being a witness. So being an effective witness. And there's other things that could be said about this, but two ways that we could do that. The first would be that you do it in the context of a genuine relationship. When you develop relationship with somebody, they are your friend genuinely. They know you care about them. They know you've got their back. Then in the context of that, you can share your faith effectively. They're watching, they're listening, and that's a very important aspect of that. Without that relationship, it can be a little bit abrupt, and it's not that it can't be effective, but the relationship's so important. The second way that you can be an effective witness is by, again, often in the context of that relationship, inviting somebody to gather with you as you gather with the church. And there's just something very special about the context of the gathered church, where we get a much keener sense of the presence and the work of God, and they're hearing gospel songs being sung, they're seeing Christian people interact, and they're hearing a gospel message, and in a way that has been put together, that has hopefully been that is an effective exposition of a particular text in the Bible that that the Spirit of God is going to use to convince them about who Jesus is. So that's still a very effective way. The idea of just simply inviting somebody to gather with you as you gather with the church, I think that's an effective way to be a witness, because you're introducing them to the rest of your family in the family of God. So I hope that's helpful for you today. That's it for this episode of A Drink from Upstream. God bless you.